on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com. So in the studio with me this morning, Dr. Sierra and Dr. Kyle Lovisone joining us here. And our visit is presented by Marcus & Mack, voted the best law firm, the best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. You can visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Good to have you both with us here today. So you're in practice with IRMC, and I wanted to have you come in and visit with us today because, well, it's 90 degrees, and it's going to be for quite some time.
Yeah.
And folks need to be able to deal with this. And from a number of different areas, elderly, young. I know for elderly folks and for the very, very young, heat is especially dangerous, is it not?
Absolutely.
Can be, but it is dangerous for anyone, really. It's
Yeah.
not age specific, but those are more vulnerable populations. So.
Yeah. So when you're talking about those particular areas of society, what are the dangers that parents especially should be looking for with young children?
Some of the dangers are just going to be, them being outside, running around playing, right? Kids don't really want to admit that they're hot, sweaty, and they're, don't want to come inside, don't want to drink water, eat a popsicle. So it's kind of important to know kind of the signs and symptoms of people starting to go into like a heat exhaustion or heat stroke.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things that people forget is, we're outside. Asphalt can get up to 160 degrees, but if a kid runs outside without shoes, they can get burns pretty quickly. Same with pets, but also playground equipment is actually really, really hot. So we encourage parents to, go in, or caretakers to go out and feel the playground before they let their kids, just run on it, especially with the weather coming up this week.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, you want to watch them around the pool, too.
Of course.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water and everything. The reflection off the water can be something, too, can't it?
It can, for sure.
Yeah. All of those things are. So you mentioned, Kyle, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. Is there a difference?
Oh, absolutely. And the big difference is changes in their mental status, right? So if people are getting confused, if they're becoming irritable, if they're just not acting like themselves, that's a sign of heat stroke, and so that's a medical emergency. They need to get into an ER right away.
Mm-hmm.
However, efforts to start cooling them down should not be waited on. You should start trying to cool them down and working on that. Don't wait to get to the hospital for it.
Mm-hmm.
So some ways you can cool them down are some cool ice baths, even ice packs. Get them to air conditioning, shade if possible. But you definitely want to call 911 for a heat stroke. Heat exhaustion gradually starts generally. So some of the warning signs could be excessive sweating, rapid heart rate, nausea, vomiting, headache, feeling like you're going to pass out. Those situations you want to, again, remove yourself or the other person. Go into air conditioning, shade, so be it. Fluids, hydration's important. So if you're sweating a lot, electrolyte drinks, water, those kinds of things. But also just, kind of removing yourself from the situation. And if it is another individual, you want to stay with them because, again, heat exhaustion can progress to heat stroke. And like Kyle was saying, it's important to, call 911 and contact if, a person passes out, if they're vomiting a lot, if they're confused, they're not alert. Those are the really important signs that, they do need some additional attention.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned children, young children, and the elderly, but for every aspect of society, sometimes people think they're Supermen, and they can keep doing what they typically would do. But then there are some folks who have to be outside, people working on a roof, people working on a highway crew around that hot asphalt, all of that.
Yeah.
They need to be protecting themselves as well. It will be a little more difficult, though, for them, won't it?
Correct.
100%.
Yeah. I think we talk a lot about, construction workers, roofers, landscapers. Another big thing, I think of my dad in a factory. So that hot, there's not always AC, but it's still, they're outside. They're, whether they're outside or not, they're still kind of outside. So they can get hot too. It's important to use kind of like the buddy system. So, everyone has a coworker for the most part. Look out for them. They'll look out for you. Watch for those warning signs that we kind of have talked about. And just kind of know what to do then. So, put them into the shade, kind of take frequent breaks, whether that be going into the car and sitting with the AC on or going to the shade, sitting down, going inside, those kinds of things. But hydration is also another really big key part to make sure, your coworkers are drinking, your family's drinking, the kids are drinking, the elderly are drinking.
Now, the idea of enhanced liquids, vitamin water, or different things within whatever it is that you're drinking. We don't want alcohol to be involved in this because
No.
alcohol will exacerbate the situation.
It will.
Right?
Yes.
It will.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
with summer months comes a lot of alcohol consumption. So we do advise, that you do stay hydrated when consuming those adult beverages.
4th of July weekend's
4th
coming
of July
up.
weekend.
And it's a hot weekend too. So, I mean, it's especially important to
Yeah.
be staying hydrated. And you mentioned the enhanced, like the electrolyte drinks. A lot of research shows that water is just as good as those. But if it's a way that you're going to get your fluids in, then I do encourage it. It's just a little more expensive than water. So
Yeah.
if you're all right drinking water, it's perfectly fine. Absolutely go for it.
Yeah, yeah. Extra cold water doesn't need to be.
Doesn't absolutely have to. I mean, again, if it's going to help you, if it makes you feel a little bit better on these hot days that you're drinking a little bit colder water, absolutely, it helps you get it in.
Yeah.
But if you're drinking cool or room temperature water, that's going to still get your fluids in, hydrating you.
Yeah.
The one thing we do advise, though, like if someone is experiencing a heat stroke and you're watching them and they're altered and they don't know exactly where they're at, they're confused, don't give them water. We don't want them to choke. We don't want them to aspirate, those kinds of things, because it can lead to problems down the road. But we do want them cooled off, the cool baths and the ice packs, and to call 911. But if they're just, headache and just excessive sweating, water, electrolyte drinks, those kinds of things.
Is there a proper way to go about cooling them down with ice packs? You hear about putting them under the armpits?
Yep, the armpits. They say the groin, around the neck. But honestly, anywhere, as long as you're cooling them down, but especially in those spots.
Yeah, a bathtub filled with cold water.
Yes,
Yep.
that's kind of the best
That's
way.
the biggest.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah?
Yes, there have been
Yep.
lots of studies that have shown that water dissipates the heat better than like air or the ice packs do. So
Yeah.
a cold bath, like those big horse troughs that you see with them that the athletes use, that is ideal.
Yeah, yeah.
But-
And Sierra, you said something important, too, about your dad working indoors in a
He
factory.
does, yep.
And we see people go into the gym all the time, and they say, okay, it's an air-conditioned gym. I'm better in the air-conditioned gym. And yes, it probably is better to work out there.
Yeah.
But still, you have to guard against overheating yourself, don't you?
Correct. Yeah, it can happen anywhere, and I know a lot of people who have this don't, think it's ever gonna happen to them, or they don't know the warning signs and they keep pushing through to a point where now they're, heat exhaustion, possibly down to a heat stroke. So it's important to recognize that it can happen anywhere, it can happen to anyone, and that there's measures you can take, and you should watch out for, the ones around you. So it's important.
I remember a triathlete that was taking part on a very hot day in an event and suffered permanent kidney damage and was really not out of the woods for quite a few weeks. He was in ICU many years ago. That's not all that uncommon when you're in athletic competitions, right?
No, not at all. I mean, the kidneys work. They need a lot of water to filter things through. And when you're doing extremely strenuous activities like a triathlon, on top of being dehydrated, that can lead to massive kidney damage and what's called rhabdomyolysis.
Yeah.
It's important now that, summer's a big month or a big couple months for athletes. So a lot of youth baseball, softball, soccer, you name it. We're about to start football season here, so heat acclimation is going to be starting up. It's also important to, parents to watch their kids, coaches to watch the athletes. I mean, if you're in the stands and you see something, say something.
Yeah.
So it's important to kind of watch out for everyone.
What about those who are taking medications? I'm sure there are certain medications that could make it worse if you get overheated.
Yeah, so there's some medications that, like diuretics, where it'll help you lose fluid. So it's important that you continually stay hydrated, especially with those kinds of medications. Anyone with like heart conditions and things like that should talk to their doctor about, being out in the strenuous weather. If you know that you shouldn't be out, doing a lot of exercise or a lot of strenuous activity when it's, 90, 100 degrees outside, maybe consider not mowing the lawn at 3 p.m. and maybe 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. or maybe contacting someone else to mow it for you, but just being kind of cautious about what you're doing and when you're doing it.
Oh, come on, Doc. I'm sitting on a mower. How strenuous can that be?
I don't want you in the direct sun for too long.
Yeah, that's the problem. Well, all of these things are things that we're talking about to protect ourselves. And unfortunately, we find ourselves in positions where we have to recover from some very serious medical issues. And I'm thinking of the elderly neighbor who's sitting at home without air conditioning, might have a window fan, might not even have that, and really doesn't have the wherewithal to get up and to find a cooler place, get into an airstream, airflow. That's where we need to watch out for our neighbors, yes?
Yeah, for
100%.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important, especially in the elderly population. They aren't as good as regulating their temperatures as the younger folks. So it's really important to keep an eye out for them and make sure that they're, drinking the fluids that they can and trying to stay into cooler spaces.
When we hear, as the weather forecast says today, temperatures 91 for today, heat index could be 105.
Ooh.
Well, that heat index, that's not the actual air temperature, but that's what your body is going to react to, right?
Yes, that's it's kind of the humidity plus the actual temperature that's out. The most accurate really is like a wet bulb temperature. I'm not sure specifically where to look that up for around here, but there's like a chart that tells you kind of how dangerous it would be to be outside for too long, and based on that wet bulb.
Yeah, yeah. With a lot of athletes, what they'll notice is they're used to sweating, and all of a sudden, I'm not sweating anymore.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So I know, like, that's one of the biggest myths that I hear is that, like, when you stop sweating, like, that's, when it's bad. But it's also important to recognize that some of the first signs of, like, heat exhaustion is excessive sweating. So you may be going down the path that some of those early warning signs are going to be excessive sweating. When you stop sweating, you kind of miss the point where you were excessively sweating. So both are bad, but you don't want to say, oh, well, they're sweating, it's fine, it's okay, because that's not necessarily true. As you said, like, athletes sweat a lot, but if they're sweating more than, normal, kind of have a headache now, kind of a little bit dizzy, not feeling great, then we need to recognize that although they're still sweating, they may not be in a great position.
Yeah, yeah. That clamminess.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, the clamminess. It's got me.
Yep.
Yeah, all of those things are things that we're talking about here today with the doctors Lovisone. I'm glad that you both came in to visit with us today. These are really important topics. And let's talk about you, because the two of you are both in practice here in affiliation with IRMC. What do you do?
So we're both family medicine residents. Tomorrow, technically, we become second-year residents. So we are in family practice. We're going to become primary care physicians. Both of us do have a special interest in sports medicine. So we do hope to, go on to fellowship afterward, work on that. So this topic actually really does have a lot of meaning to us, right? We see athletes all the time, especially football, right? They're out there in the pads and running around doing their two-a-days in the summer, and we see this pretty, unfortunately, frequently.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just had the Marion Center cheerleaders in here, and I asked which one turns the most ankles, and the one that her hand automatically went up. It's their season. They're getting their routine today, so they're going to start working on it. They'll be in a hot gym. And so, protecting yourself, keeping yourself. You're practicing where then?
So we practice at the hospital. So we also practice up at Marion Center, one of the clinics, and also in Clymer. So depending on the day, depending on the month, we do 4-week rotations. So currently I'm in the ICU right now. Next month I'll go to endocrine, and we just kind of get a different feel for everything, because in family medicine you have to know everything, and have to be able to help patients with everything. You're like what they say, like the captain, and then specialists or elsewhere, and you would send them there. So you need to know a lot about everything.
Yeah.
So
had Jamie Murphy in here yesterday.
Oh,
love Jamie.
Yeah, we've known him for a long time, actually.
That's what he said. He recruited you to
He did.
recon.
Yeah, he knew
did.
us in high school. Yeah, so
Really?
we've known him for over 10 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seemed like a really good guy.
He is. He's awesome.
We love his wife too.
Yeah.
She's our student coordinator now at IRMC. She's relatively new, but she's really great.
Going to be real assets for IUP and for the entire IRMC
For
community, aren't
100%.
they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. He said he saw you at the ice cream stand the other day.
He did see me at the ice cream. I am a frequent at the Meadows. I got my list of favorites, and
Yeah?
the sports med office, actually, they keep a calendar, and they'll highlight different colors for different people and what they like. So I know everyone's favorites. I got it down.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. But it's also a great way to stay cool.
Great way. I advocate for ice cream all the time.
A great and tasty way. Hey, good to have you both in the studio with us today. We appreciate it, and it's really sound advice. People need to know about that and follow the resources. Know that urgent care and the ER are there for them if they get into trouble, right?
Of course. If there's any doubt, absolutely go to urgent care, ED, or call your doctor and talk to them about it.
Absolutely. From IRMC, the doctors Lovisone with us this morning. It's Indiana in the Morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Fox News next, and then Killmate.
At Marcus and Mack, we've been standing up for injury victims right here in Western Pennsylvania for over 40 years.
We're not some billboard law firm from out of town. We live here. We work.